100. General knowledge, questions and answers. Who invented the first railway engine? George Stephenson. Built by George Stephenson and his son Robert's company. Robert Stephenson and Company was the first steam locomotive to haul passengers on a public railway, the Stockton and Darlington Railway in 1825. In 1830, George Stephenson opened the first public intercity railway, the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. Who invented clock? Christian Huygens. The Dutch polymath and horologist Christian Huygens, the inventor of first precision timekeeping devices, pendulum clock and spiral hairspring watch. From its invention in 1656 by Christian Huygens until the 1930s, the pendulum clock was the world's most precise timekeeper, accounting for its widespread use. How fast do bullet trains go? The original bullet train, the Series 0, hit a speed of about 200 kilometers per hour or about 125 mph. The speeds gradually increased through the years, reaching the current figure of 177 mph in 2015. Where was the first computer in India installed? It is Calcutta. The history of computing in India began in 1955 when a HEC 2M designed by A.D. Booth was installed at the Indian Statistical Institute ISI in Calcutta. Why does the moon not spin? The moon does not rotate. The moon does spin on its axis, completing a rotation once every 27.3 days. The confusion is caused because it also takes the same period to orbit the Earth, so that it keeps the same side facing us. Why is real vanilla so expensive? One reason vanilla has gotten so expensive is it is hard to grow. In Madagascar, where over 80% of vanilla is produced, the flowers have to be pollinated by hand. The pods need several months to cure after harvesting. The whole process is time consuming and labor intensive. Why Jupiter has so many moons? Not only is Jupiter the largest planet in the solar system, it is also the most massive at more than 300 times the mass of Earth. Its size plays a role in the number of moons orbiting Jupiter because there is a large area of gravitational stability around it to support many moons. Who is the second wife of Ravana in Ramayana? Danya Malini. In Hindu mythology, Danya Malini was the second wife of Ravana. She was a gentle and caring woman. Her true identity is unknown, but some stories refer to her as the daughter of Maya and sister of Mandodari. She referred to have saved Sita from Ravana's rage when she insulted him. Which country made first bullet train? Japan. When was the first high-speed network built? Japan's high-speed line between Tokyo and Osaka was inaugurated in 1964. The famous Shinkansen bullet train, named for its shape, could reach a speed of 210 km per hour. How many countries are in the world? 195 countries. There are 195 countries in the world today. This total comprises 193 countries that are member states of the United Nations and 2 countries that are non-member observer states, the Holy See and the State of Palestine. Do siblings all have the same blood type? While a child could have the same blood type as one of his her parents, it doesn't always happen that way. For example, parents with AB and O blood type can either have children with a blood type A or blood type B. These two types are definitely different than parents' blood types. They will match both parents. Does Mughal family still exist? Ziauddin Tusi is the sixth generation descendant of the last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Jafar and today struggles to make ends meet. Living in a rented house, he still believes that The government will release properties of the erstwhile Mughals to the legal heirs. What is the longest empire in history? The Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is considered to have been the most enduring in history. The formal start date of the empire remains the subject of debate, but most historians agree that clock began ticking in 27 BC when the Roman politician Octavian overthrew the Roman Republic to become Emperor Augustus. What would happen if gravity stopped? A lack of gravity would eventually take its toll on our very planet. Writes Masters, Earth itself would most likely break apart into chunks and float off into space without the force of gravity to hold it together. The intense pressures at its core would cause it to burst open in a titanic explosion. What is the largest edible mushroom? Termitomyces titanicus. The biggest edible mushroom in the world is also delicious, while the largest organism in the world is a fungus currently consuming oregon. Termitomyces titanicus is the world's largest edible mushroom with the cap capable of measuring a little more than 3 feet across. Why does everyone have a different DNA fingerprint? Restriction enzymes used in DNA fingerprinting. These distinct areas can take on many different forms, but each form is unique to any one individual. The probability that two people received exactly the same number of repeated sequences from their two parents is 1 in several hundred trillion. Who is the biggest officer in India? The Cabinet Secretary is the most senior officer of the IAS. The Cabinet Secretary is the topmost executive official and senior most civil servant of the Government of India. The Cabinet Secretary is the ex officio head of the Civil Services Board, the Cabinet Secretariat, the Indian Administrative Service, and all civil services under the rules of business of the government. Where is Travancore situated? Kerala. Travancore Heritage. Travancore is located just 23 kilometers from Trivandrum, the capital city of the Indian state of Kerala, known as God's own country, in the southernmost part of India. The nearest international airport is Trivandrum. Who is the richest royal family in India? The 76th custodian in the line of the Mewar dynasty in India, Rana Sriji Arvind Singh Mewar, is truly living a royal life. The Mewar dynasty is at the top of the richest royal families in India. Who built Padmanathapuram Palace? The palace was constructed around 1601 centuries by Iravi Varma Kulashekara Perumal, who ruled Wayanad between 1592 and 1609. The founder of modern Travancore, King of Anijam Tirunal, Martanda Varma, 1706 to 1758, who ruled Travancore from 1729 to 1758, rebuilt the palace in around 1750. Can you really improve your memory? The human brain has an astonishing ability to adapt and change, even into old age. This ability is known as neuroplasticity. You can harness the natural power of neuroplasticity to increase your cognitive abilities, enhance your ability to learn new information, and improve your memory at any age. What was the Albert Einstein IQ? About 160. Albert Einstein had an IQ of about 160. A 12-year-old girl in Cheshire Country, England, has scored 162 on an IQ test, putting her in the top 99.998 percentile of test takers. Mosquitoes bite you more if you eat sugar. They found a number of gene expression changes that were associated with the bugs coming less interested in feeding on human blood. One of these genes was a vitellogenin gene called VG2, which also plays a role in ovary development for female mosquitoes. When they eat sugar, more of this gene is expressed. What is the best material for a rocket? A rocket must withstand the strong forces during launch and be as light as possible. For the mainframe, most rockets use aerospace grade aluminum or titanium since both metals are very strong but lightweight. Future rocket designs are even looking into using carbon composite structures. What is the most famous plateau in the world? Tibetan Plateau. The largest and highest plateau in the world is the Tibetan Plateau, sometimes metaphorically described as the roof of the world, which is still being formed by the collisions of the Indo Australian and Eurasian tectonic plates. Which river is there in Bangalore? There are no major rivers flowing through the city. However, rivers Arkavati and Kaveri merge within the proximity of Mekadato, which lies 60 kilometers south of Bangalore. River Vrishabhavati, a tributary of Arkavati, flows for a small stretch in the Bangalore North Taluk and carries a bulk of the city's sewerage. How many states in India have Deccan Plateau? 8 Indian states. The Deccan Plateau is a large plateau that covers most of South India. It is triangular, surrounded by the three mountain ranges. It extends over 8 Indian states, principally Telangana, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. What makes Himalayas unique? The Himalayas are the result of tectonic plate motions that collided India into Tibet. Because of the great amount of tectonic motion still occurring at the site, the Himalayas have a proportionally high number of earthquakes and tremors. The Himalayas are one of the youngest mountain ranges on the planet. Who invented a train? Richard Trevithick. The first full-scale working railway steam locomotive was built in the UK, United Kingdom, in 1804 by Richard Trevithick, a British engineer born in Cornwall. This used high-pressure steam to drive the engine by one power stroke. Which country has fastest bullet train? Japan. Japan has started testing its fastest ever bullet train capable of reaching 400 kilometers per hour. As it continues to develop the revolutionary mode of travel, the LFAX version of the Shinkansen train began 3 years worth of test runs on Friday. Does solar eclipse affect humans? Since looking directly at the sun can lead to permanent eye damage or blindness, special eye protection or indirect viewing techniques are used when viewing a solar eclipse. It is safe to view only the total phase of a total solar eclipse with the unaided eye and without protection. Where is the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs? The Chicxulub crater is an impact crater buried underneath the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Its center is located near the town of Chicxulub, after which the crater is named. Dinosaurs roamed the earth for 160 million years until their sudden demise some 65.5 million years ago in an event now known as the Cretaceous Tertiary or KT extinction event. Where was dark chocolate invented? Dark chocolate history goes back at least 3000 years. Early on, dark chocolate was the only form of chocolate available. It was developed around 1900 BC as a beverage in what is now Central and South America. Later, the Mayans and the Aztecs made bitter dark chocolate beverages for ceremonial and medicinal purposes. Why is Pasadena called the City of Roses? Pasadena, California. It was patterned after a European festival of roses and was meant to show off Pasadena's natural beauty and sunny climate while most of the nation lay buried beneath shore. Which is the golden city of India? Jaisalmer. Jaisalmer stands on a ridge of yellowish sandstone used in building houses and edifices, which is why the city exudes a yellowish golden tinge, thus the moniker the Golden City. Which city is known as Blue City in India? Jodhpur. A photographer captures everyday life in Jodhpur, a city in the western desert state of Rajasthan. Indian cities have some colorful nicknames. There is a white city, an orange city, a pink city, a golden city, a couple of green ones, and Jodhpur, the blue city, in the western desert state of Rajasthan. How old is Banaras? Around 3000 years old. Varanasi, India, situated on the west bank of the Gangas. Varanasi, also known as Banaras, is an important holy city for both Hindus and Buddhists. According to legend, it was founded by the Hindu deity Lord Shiva 5000 years ago, though modern scholars believe it to be around 3000 years old. Why is America called America? The naming of the America or America occurred shortly after Christopher Columbus' voyage to the Americas in 1914-92. It is generally accepted that the name derives from Amerigo Vespucci, the Italian explorer who explored the new continents in the following years. What are the five races? Kuhn, a scientist, divided humanity into five races: Caucasoid, white race; Negroid, black race; Capoid, Bushmen or Hottentots race; Mongoloid, Oriental, Amerindian race; Australoid, Australian, Aborigine, and Papuan race. When and why was India Gate built? 1921. The foundation stone of India Gate was laid by His Royal Highness the Duke of Connaught in 1921. It was designed by Edwin Lutyens. The monument was dedicated to the nation 10 years later by the then Viceroy Lord Irwin. Another memorial, Amar Jawan Jyoti, was added much later after India got its independence. What is the most expensive meat in the world? Wagyu beef. This is Wagyu beef, one of the most expensive meats in the world, produced in Japan and prized for its rich, marbling, and buttery taste. High grade Wagyu can cost up to $200 per pound, and the cows themselves can sell for as much as $30,000. Which country drinks the most tea? In 2016, Turkey was the largest tea consuming country in the world, with a per capita tea consumption of approximately 6.96 pounds per year. In contrast, China had an annual consumption of 1.25 pounds per person. In 2015, China was the leading global tea producer, followed by India and Kenya. Is there DNA in urine? Any body tissue that has not been degraded is a potential source of DNA. Urine itself doesn't contain DNA, but it may contain epithelial cells which do contain DNA. Most healthy individuals, however, do not excrete epithelial cells in the urine. Who was the first person convicted by DNA? Colin Pitchfork. Colin Pitchfork. Colin Pitchfork, born 23rd March 1960, is a British convicted murderer and rapist. He was the first person convicted of murder based on DNA fingerprinting evidence and the first to be caught as a result of mass DNA screening. Who is known as father of botany? Theophrastus. When Aristotle fled Athens, Theophrastus took over as head of the Lyceum. Theophrastus presided over the Peripatetic school for 36 years, during which time the school flourished greatly. He is often considered the father of botany for his works on plants. How many base pairs are in DNA? 3 billion. The human genome contains approximately 3 billion of these base pairs, which reside in the 23 pairs of chromosomes within the nucleus of all of our cells. Each chromosome contains hundreds to thousands of genes which carry the instructions for making proteins. How many times Demonetization in India before 2016. The Indian government had demonetized banknotes on two prior occasions, once in 1946 and once in 1978, and in both cases, the goal was to combat tax evasion via black money held outside the formal economic system. What issue? Indian currency note. Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank has the sole authority to issue banknotes in India. Reserve Bank, like other central banks the world over, changes the design of banknotes from time to time. The Reserve Bank has introduced banknotes in the Mahatma Gandhi series since 1996 and has so far issued notes in the denominations of rupees 5. What is printing more money called? It is quantitative easing. QE is a very different form of money creation than it's commonly understood when talking about money printing. Indeed, the term printing money usually implies that newly created money is used to directly finance government deficits or pay off government debt, also known as monetizing the government debt. Why Sanskrit is the most scientific language and loved by NASA? According to researchers at NASA, Sanskrit is the finest language to be used and considered fit for complex fields like artificial intelligence, where computers can be literally designed in such a way that they can think for themselves and not have to be completely dependent on human commands. What is Mahayana Buddhism? Mahayana Buddhism can be defined as a major movement in the history of Buddhism, which has its origin in northern India. It is made up of many schools and reinterpretations of fundamental human beliefs, values, and ideals, not only those of the Buddhist teachings. Which is Indian supercomputer? Indian supercomputer Param 8000, named by the Center for Development of Advanced Computing (CDAC), headed by Dr. Vijay Panduranga Bhakhtar, was launched on July 1, 1991. It was released in 1991 by CDAC and was replicated and installed as ICAD Moscow in 1991 under Russian collaboration. What is the full form of FBI? The FBI stands for Federal Bureau of Investigation. Federal refers to the national government of the United States. Bureau is another word for department or division of government. Investigation is what we do, gathering facts and evidence to solve and prevent crimes. Does RAM affect speed in computer? Generally, the faster the RAM, the faster the processing speed. With a faster RAM, you increase the speed at which memory transfers information to other components, meaning your fast processor now has an equally fast way of talking to the other components, making your computer much more efficient. What does a dead body look like after a few hours? 24 to 72 hours after death, the internal organs decompose. 3 to 5 days after death, the body starts to bloat and blood containing foam leaks from the mouth and nose. 8 to 10 days after death, the body turns from green to red as the blood decomposes and the organs in the abdomen accumulate gas. Why is dark chocolate healthy? Dark chocolate is a rich source of antioxidants and minerals, and it generally contains less sugar than milk chocolate. Some research suggests that dark chocolate may help lower the risk of heart disease, reduce inflammation and insulin resistance, and improve brain function. How old is Varanasi? Varanasi, India, situated on the west bank of the Ganga. Varanasi, also known as Banaras, is an important holy city for both Hindus and Buddhists. According to legend, it was founded by the Hindu deity Lord Shiva 5000 years ago, though modern scholars believe it to be around 3000 years old. Which is the largest country in Africa? Algeria. Algeria is the biggest country in Africa. There is 2.4 million square kilometers of land from the blue Mediterranean Sea to the brown Sahara Desert. Which is the national tree of India? Ficus bengalensis, whose branches root themselves like new trees over a large area. The roots then gives rise to more trunks and branches. Because of this characteristic and its longevity, this tree is considered immortal and is an integral part of the myths and legends of India. Why Kashi is called Varanasi? Kashi means the luminous one or city of the light and derived its name from Kasha, which actually means brightness. The name Varanasi is also a derivative since the city is located on the banks of two tributaries of Gangas, Varuna and Asi. The name Varanasi was given to the city. Which fruit is very costly in India? Blueberry. Blueberry is the most expensive fruit in India. It costs 4,000 rupees per kilogram because it takes tons of water to grow berries. Which temple is the symbol of Tamil Nadu? Sri Villiputtur. The most important landmark of Sri Villiputtur is 11-tiered tower structure dedicated to the Vatapatra Sai, Vatapatra Sai Vishnu, the presiding deity of Sri Villiputtur Divya Desham. The tower of this temple rises 192 feet high and is the official symbol of the government of Tamil Nadu. Who declared partition of India? It was announced at a press conference by Mountbatten on 3rd June 1947 when the date of independence 15th August 1947 was also announced. The plan's main points were 6 Hindus and Muslims in Punjab and Bengal legislative assemblies would meet and vote for partition. How many seats are in Wankhede Stadium? 33,108 Wankhede Stadium capacity. The Wankhede Stadium is a cricket stadium in Mumbai, India. The stadium now has capacity of 33,108 people. Following renovations for the 2011 Cricket World Cup, before the upgrade, the capacity was approximately 45,000. Which city is India's capital for one day? Allahabad. In 1858, Allahabad, now Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh became the capital of India for a day when it also served as the capital of northwestern provinces during the British Raj. Until 1911, Calcutta was the capital of India. By the latter half of the 19th century, Shimla had become the summer capital. How Fatehpur Sikri lost its importance. It was abandoned by Akbar in 1585 when he went to fight a campaign in Punjab. It was later completely abandoned by 1610. The reason for its abandonment is usually given as the failure of the water supply, though Akbar's loss of interest may also have been the reason since it was built solely on his whim. Why is Delhi now called New Delhi? It was made a distinct province of the Punjab. In 1911, it was announced that the capital of British held territories in India was to be transferred from Calcutta to Delhi. The name New Delhi was given in 1927 and the new capital was inaugurated on 13th February 1931. At what age do babies have thoughts? 5 months old. New research shows that babies display glimmers of consciousness and memory as early as 5 months old. For decades, neuroscientists have been searching for an unmistakable signal of consciousness in electrical brain activity. Who narrated Mahabharata to the gods? Vaishampayana. Vaishampayana was the traditional narrator of the Mahabharata, one of the two major Sanskrit epics of ancient India. He was an ancient Indian sage who was the original teacher of the Krishna Yajurveda. Which is the longest migrating bird? Arctic tern. The tiny Arctic tern makes the longest migration of any animal in the world, flying about 2 times farther than previously thought, a new study says. How many hours exactly is a day? 23 hours and 56 minutes. Another way to measure a day is to count the amount of time it takes for a planet to completely spin around and make one full rotation. This is called a sidereal day. On Earth, a sidereal day is almost exactly 23 hours and 56 minutes. Who is known as the father of modern computer? Alan Turing's. The father of modern computing, Alan Turing's legacy. Alan Turing, the face of the new 50 note pounds. It is recognized as a key figure in Britain's code-breaking efforts at Bletchley Park during the Second World War, a mathematical genius and even the father of modern computing and artificial intelligence. Who invented exams? Henry Fischel. If we were to go by historical sources, then exams were invented by an American businessman and philanthropist known as Henry Fischel somewhere in the late 19th century. However, some sources attribute the invention of standardized assessments to another man by the same name, Henry Fischel. Do Android phones need antivirus? In most cases, Android smartphones and tablets do not need installing the antivirus. However, it is equally valid that Android viruses exist and the antivirus with useful features can add an extra layer of security. Why does February have 28 days? February's 28 days date back to the second king of Rome, Numa Pompilius. Before the before he became king, Rome's lunar calendar was just 10 months long. But in order to reach 355 days, one month had to be an even number. February was chosen to be the unlucky month with 28 days. Why do we work 8 hours a day? The 8-hour day movement or 40-hour week movement, also known as the short time movement, was a social movement to regulate the length of a working day, preventing excesses and abuses. It had its origins in the Industrial Revolution in Britain, where industrial production in large factories transformed working life. Which country has the world's fastest computer? China. China currently dominates the list with 229 supercomputers, leading the second place United States by a record margin of 121. Since June 2018, the American Summit is the world's most powerful supercomputer, reaching 143.5 petaflops on the LINPACK benchmarks. Where is India's supercomputer Param located? Pune. Param. Param is a series of supercomputers designed and assembled by the Center for Development of Advanced Computing (CDOC) in Pune, India. What is most expensive coin in the world? Flowing hair silver dollar. The first ever flowing hair silver dollar, struck in 1794, is the most expensive coin in the world, valued at over $10 million. What birds can talk? Songbirds and parrots are the two groups of birds able to learn and mimic human speech. However, it has been found that myna bird, part of the starling family, can also be conditioned to learn and create human speech. Pet birds can be taught to speak by their owners by mimicking their voice. What is the best vitamin for memory? Whether you suffer from Alzheimer's disease or simply have memory problems, certain vitamins and fatty acids have been said to slow or prevent memory loss. The long list of potential solutions includes vitamins like vitamin B12, herbal supplements such as biloba, and omega 3 fatty acids. How many types of computer models are there? There are four different computer types. There are different computer types available depending on the number of users they can support at any one time, their size and power. In this hub, we are doing to have a look at the difference between supercomputers, mainframe, mini, and microcomputers. What is the full form of NASA? NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. It is a USA government agency that works for the civilian space program as well as for aeronautics, scientific discovery, earth and aerospace research. What was the first social media? 6 Degrees. The first recognizable social media site, 6 Degrees, was created in 1997. It enabled users to upload a profile and make friends with other users. In 1999, the first blogging site became popular, creating a social media sensation that is still popular today. What is human trafficking? Human trafficking involves the recruitment, transportation, harboring, and or exercising control, direction, or influence over the movements of a person in order to exploit that person, typically through sexual exploitation or forced labor. It is often described as a modern form of slavery. Who cursed Ravana? Nandi. Nandi informed Ravana that his Lord Shiva and Parvati were enjoying dalliance on the mountain and no one was allowed to pass. Ravana mocked Shiva and Nandi. Enraged by the insult to his lord, Nandi cursed Ravana that monkeys would destroy him. Which banks extend moratorium? The Reserve Bank of India (RBI) had announced an extension of the moratorium on term loan EMIs by 3 months, that is, till August 31st, 2020, in a press conference dated May 22nd, 2020. How many genes do humans have? In humans, genes vary in size from a few hundred DNA bases to more than 2 million bases. The Human Genome Project estimated that humans have been 20,000 and 25,000 genes. Every person has 2 copies of each gene, one inherited from each parent. How much money is printed in the US every day? How much currency does the Treasury Department print every day? During fiscal year 2014, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing delivered approximately 6.6 billion notes to the Federal Reserve, producing approximately 24.8 million notes a day with a face value of approximately $560 million. What is the IQ of Leonardo da Vinci? A painter, sculptor, architect, musician, mathematician, engineer, inventor, anatomist, geologist, cartographer, botanist, and writer. Leonardo da Vinci was perhaps the most diversely talented person to have ever lived. His estimated IQ, intelligent quotient, scores range from 180 to 220 by different measures. When did viruses first appear on Earth? A key step in the virus evolutionary journey seems to have come about around 1.5 billion years ago. That is the age at which the team estimated the 66 virus specific protein folds came on the scene. These changes are to be proteins in the virus outer coat, the machinery viruses used to break into the host cells. Which language is spoken in Maldives? Divehi. Well, Divehi is spoken throughout the country, also known as the Republic of the Maldives, as the dominant language. Other dialects also exist here, such as Male, which is actually the standard form of Maldivian and spoken in the capital city of the Maldives, Molako, Huvadu, Maliko, Udehu Mahi, Malako, and Addu. Who is the first freedom fighter in India? Mangal Pandey. Mangal Pandey was one of the first freedom fighters of India and played a very important role in the freedom movement. He was a sepoy in the British East India Company who fought against them during the Great Revolt of 1857. He attacked using a greased cartridge and played a pivotal role in the Barakpur unrest. What is the difference between a wing and a squadron? In military aviation, a wing is a unit of command. In most military aviation services, a wing is a relatively large formation of planes. In Commonwealth countries, a wing usually comprises three squadrons with several wings forming a group around 10 squadrons. Each squadron will contain around 20 planes. Why Siliguri is called chicken neck in India? Why is the Siliguri corridor called the chicken neck? Frankly, because it looks like one. That strip of land, Siliguri corridor, is less that 27 kilometers, that is 17 miles, wide at its narrowest point. This tiny strip is what connects mainland of India to the northeast of India. Why is Darjeeling tea so expensive? Darjeeling tea is known for its musky flavors that are gently robust as well as numerous Darjeeling tea health benefits. There are so many varieties like first flush, second flush, monsoon flush, and autumn flush. But Darjeeling tea is much more costly and more admired because of its aroma. Which is the first film released in India? Raja Harishchandra. Dada Saheb Phalke's Silent Raja Harishchandra 1913 is the first feature film made in India. By the 1930s, the industry was producing over 200 films per year. Indian silent film directed and produced by Dada Saheb Phalke. It is often considered the first full-length Indian feature film. What is the world's earliest surviving motion picture film in the world? Round a Garden Scene. The world's earliest surviving motion picture film showing actual consecutive action is called Round a Garden Scene. Round a Garden Scene is an 1888 short silent actual film recorded by French inventor Louis Le Prince, filmed at Oakwood Grange in Roundhay, Leeds, in the north of England. What was the summer capital of India during the British rule of India? Darjeeling. It was the summer capital of India during the British rule in India when Calcutta was the capital of India. Darjeeling is now a district in the state of West Bengal in India. It has three hill subdivisions: Darjeeling, Kursiang, and Kalimpong. How is DNA fingerprinting used to identify a criminal? DNA fingerprinting is a laboratory technique used to establish a link between biological evidence and a suspect in a criminal investigation. A DNA sample taken from a crime scene is compared with a DNA sample from a suspect. If the two DNA profiles are a match, then the evidence came from that suspect.